A ghost lives here.
A ghost definitely lives here.
Hi.
5!
Okay.
Hello and welcome to A Ghost Lives Here,
Our show for you.
featuring Brenna Thumler.
And Beth Greenleaf. So we are best friends. We've been best friends for 25 years now.
Since the dawn of time.
Yes. And we're also like artsy people. I do kids graphic novels.
I do sculpture and functional ceramics.
And we're very different and very similar at the same time. And kind of where we overlap is the spookiness.
Yeah, spookiness and art. We love a good ghoul, we love a good graveyard, and we love a good bookshop.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about all things artsy, our lives and our work, things that are a little spooky, especially spooky places that we may visit.
Yeah. Well, and this podcast / YouTube channel was born because about a year ago, we had the most amazing idea.
For a true crime sitcom.
Or a fake crime sitcom.
Yeah.
We're not sure.
We're trying to determine what exactly
We
it
don't
is.
know. We need to Google this.
We'll do some research and get back to you. But the main part of the show that we sort of built everything around was the idea of Cole Sprouse as the mailman of our dreams.
It was a beautiful, beautiful idea. He would have made such a fantastic mailman.
Can you just imagine Cole Sprouse as a mailman?
There is one problem, though.
We don't know Cole Sprouse.
And as Brenna's friend, I would like to say, it is the worst thing about her that she doesn't know Cole Sprouse.
Well, thank you. It's a really sad thing.
It really hurts our hearts every day. But
I feel like if we talk about Cole Sprouse enough on this episode, maybe it'll come across on his feed or something.
Cole Sprouse.
Cole Sprouse.
You want to be a mailman?
Cole Sprouse.
But
anyway,
there were some other things that like put a little bit of a hitch in the plans as well.
We don't know anyone in television.
Yeah, we also, we've never written a show. So
many problems with this plan.
Just a few. So it's on temporary hold until we can get a hold of Cole Sprouse.
Yes.
So
but until then, we're doing this. A ghost lives here.
A ghost lives here. And we'll be highlighting bookstores and galleries that we enjoy. We'll be talking about our own work.
Our travels, our friendship.
We'll really be letting the mellifluous sounds of our friendship tickle your earballs. So
100%.
Buck up, buckaroos.
So if that sounds good to you, keep listening.
Yeah. Stick around.
It's going to be a funky, fine, fresh ride.
Yes. And for this first episode, we actually filmed it while we were on the road together.
Yeah. So you'll get to see us in different locations, and hopefully we'll get to do that a few times.
And
so, yeah.
We should have a travel blog coming out, too. A travel vlog. Because Brenna and I are going to visit everywhere in the world one day.
Yeah.
We've decided. So
that sounds pretty good, right?
Coming soon to a location distressingly close to you.
Yeah. Watch out for us. So we thought we would share with you all some of our favorite horror movies to start this season off.
Ah, yes. Our first season. Sure. So I am a huge fan of atmospheric horror and monster movies. So my two favorites, I am torn between It, 2017, and also the second It, which is a great movie, no matter what other people say. And I looked at you, but I wasn't directed at you. And my other is The Witch, because it feels like home.
The Vivitch.
What about you?
I am not as much into atmospheric horror / monster movie. I like the psychological thrillers that put you on the edge of your seat and just really mess with your mind. So I really love The Conjuring, and this is not, I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a horror movie, but the movie Don't Breathe is probably the one movie where I've literally been on the edge of my seat. It's a movie where so little happens. It's just the characters trying to run away from a blind man in his house, and that is the entire movie. So it sounds like, how can this be interesting, because literally nothing happens, but you're just feeling for these people who are potentially going to die very soon in this house. It was great.
I feel like you just love to be stressed out during your movie watching experience.
I love to be stressed out in every experience, I think. I mean, not generally in life, but like movies, books, entertainment. I really like stressful entertainment.
I'm one of those monsters who, if it is too stressful, I will Google the endings to things so I can feel okay about where we're going.
I don't think I knew this about you. I didn't think I knew that you Google endings.
Not all the time. Just if I'm especially anxious about the characters I like.
Oh.
It's why I like atmospheric horror and monster movies, because a lot of the times you're like, they're gonna get eaten. It's good to know. Good to know.
I mean, generally most of the time you know bad things are going to happen. So I think you're usually ready for that, right?
No, my heart is never ready.
Oh man, if anyone spoils the ending for something for me ever, I hate them.
Oh, if someone
Forever.
spoils it against my will, I am filled with the rage of 1,000 suns. But if I spoil it for me, I'm like, good job, self. Good job.
Well,
Yeah, I wish I could Google life.
oh, see, that's an ending I'm, well, no.
Actually, you know what? I wish I could Google world events, not so much my own life, because I would spend the rest of my life being anxious about it.
Yeah, I would Google Beth's end of life.
I would Google your end of life. What do you...
So we're going to be talking about, like in every single episode, small businesses that we really love, like independent bookstores and independent galleries, and any kind of small business that we feel deserves more attention.
Especially ice cream.
Ice cream will be discussed a lot.
Yes.
We've been to many an ice cream place, and that's the thing, we kind of want to highlight especially the places we've been and experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, and this section, just for the record, will never be sponsored. It's purely based on what we love and the places that we really think are adding things to the art world, the flavor world.
Yeah. Art and flavor, that is our focus.
Yes, this is the art and flavor section now. Welcome.
Yeah, so it all come from our hearts and just highlight people and places that we want you to know about.
Yeah, and speaking of, this episode's person and place is Lee from Neighborhood Comics in Savannah, Georgia.
We got the chance to go to Neighborhood Comics in Savannah like a little over a year ago, and I was on a book tour for my graphic novel Delicates, and
I was moral support.
It was the furthest south that we got was Savannah, Georgia, and of the many bookstores that we visited, I think Lee and Neighborhood Comics were our favorite part of the trip.
Absolutely, and I think even including this year's mini book tour / Comic-Con trip, which y'all will be hearing about later, I think even including all the places we saw this year, Neighborhood Comics still just stands out.
Yeah, and I think it's purely because of Lee as a human being.
Just an amazing, warm, welcoming person. The store itself was gorgeous and full of fantastic comics, graphic novels, and you can tell that Lee really, really loves the arts.
Yeah, and is so involved in the community. I mean, it's right in the heart of SCAD, so you have your comic students who go to the school, and it's just part of this really great arts community, and he's a really big voice in that, you can just tell.
Yeah. We were only there very briefly.
Yeah, like 20 minutes, and this is the impact it made on us.
It made such an impression, and we actually were talking about it this past road trip. We kind of wanted to go back and visit.
Yeah, we were like, should we drive an extra 4 hours to South just to see Lee and Neighborhood Comics? We unfortunately couldn't make it work, but we were very tempted.
Yeah. So we actually managed to get Lee to come answer some questions for us.
Yes, we wrote to him and sent him some questions and did this little interview with him. So we will be playing those clips for you to listen to what he has to say about his store, Neighborhood Comics, right now.
Well, I'm in my mid 40s, and so my comic book story is one of which comic books were very hard to get. When I was growing up, I grew up in a small town in the south central part of Georgia, and for comic books, we had to find them at the drugstore or at the grocery store, spinner racks. We were really just lucky to find whatever we could. And so following a storyline was virtually impossible. I was always really drawn to the DC Comics stable of characters because I loved the Super Friends television show. That was kind of my gateway into comic book culture. That, along with the 1966 Batman TV show starring Adam West, that was on in repeats, not quite that old. But I fell in love with the bright colors, the poppiness, the campiness of that era. And that really stayed with me in terms of learning to love and develop stories. And eventually, once I got to college at the University of Georgia in Athens, was really grateful to have several dedicated comic shops. And that was the first time I knew that comic book stores actually existed. Being able to buy and find these resources, to talk to other store owners, to find a community of other people who loved this stuff just as much as me was extremely fulfilling. And that period is still kind of my formative era of when I fell in love kind of for the second time, or maybe more deeply, with comics. I was a Bachelor of Fine Arts student in art education, and it was during those college years that the actual art of comics kind of started to seep in. The fact that people dedicated their lives to this, that this was their job, this was their passion, and the way that comics could communicate to people from the youngest of readers who are really just looking at the colors and the shapes, all the way up to grandparents who grew up reading Archie or Disney books and were now able to go back and revisit that for nostalgia or to share with a younger generation. When my daughter Camille was 5, she started to fall in love with comics, and you can imagine that for someone who has these as a passion, that was a wonderful day when I discovered that we could share comic books together. Unfortunately, at that time, Savannah didn't have a family-friendly comic shop, one that you walked in and right inside the front door was a dedicated area for children's books, for all ages material that really worked to kind of curate that collection to be able to educate parents and grandparents and guardians about how comics could play into their child's kind of education and process as a reader and as a thinker. And so, being that we were in that position, I put together a business plan, and over the next couple of years, we started to get more and more serious about it. I had several friends who were in a similar position in life, and we all kind of banded together to bring neighborhood comics to Savannah. In addition to being a family-friendly or a new reader store, I think those are both kind of hand in hand, speaking to the fact that we love to share this with people who maybe were not born into being a comic book reader or a comic book fan. We also consider ourselves to be a strong creator shop. We are a few blocks away from buildings of the Savannah College of Art and Design, in particular their sequential art department. Yes, they actually have a major where kids can come to school, or people of all ages, and learn how to make comic books for a living. As a result, we do a lot of workshops, artist signings, writer lectures. We have a lot of original art in the store, and we also have a sequential artist in residence program. This is something that has been huge for us. We're wrapping up our first year of the program. For every each month, we have a different sequential artist working in the store right up front. And what they're doing is essentially being ambassadors for comics to our store visitors. We get a lot of people, being a tourist town, who see our sign, and as they're just out walking around trying to find a nice bite to eat or walking from square to square, and their eyes light up when they walk in. And you hear some things that are a little disheartening. Sometimes it's like, oh wow, they still make comic books. Yes, they still make comic books. But then secondly, there is this really interesting sense of recognition when they look down and they see a creator actually doing the process in front of them. And so not only, yes, they still make comic books, but then real people dedicate their lives to doing it. So the Sequential Artist in Residence program, it's super easy to apply. Just go to neighborhoodcomics.com, go to the contact page, and you'll see all the information there to sign up. But we provide studio space for the artists. We provide a way for them to sell their merch, their mini comics, if they're published, books that have already come out, prints, t-shirts, pins, whatever they're doing to help support their art. They get to keep 100% of the proceeds for what they sell. It's also a wonderful experience for newer creators to kind of get used to tabling like you would at a convention. So they're able to kind of work on their skills a little bit when it comes to selling their work. I know a lot of artists are really kind of hesitant to build those skills up. They feel that maybe that's something best left to the salesman of the world. But being your own best advocate is extremely important in the world of comics and in life. And so it's wonderful to get to see these artists really kind of grow and come into not only their technical skill, but also their skill of being and working with, communicating directly to their potential audience and other people right here in our community, our neighbors, if you will. Recommending comics to someone is a real talent. I have so much respect for booksellers who have spent their careers learning how to hand sell books and be able to spot something in a person and be able to grab a book and hand it to them. And it's something that I'm constantly trying to work on and develop. And I talk a lot with my team members about how to better serve people and get them in front of the books that are going to make a difference to them in their life. So I always start with a couple of questions if someone is looking for a recommendation. And I start, first of all, with, well, what other types of media do you enjoy? If you're a movie buff, is it thrillers? Is it horror? If you are a traditional prose reader, is it detective stories? Is it romance? You know, how can I find out a little bit more about the person? And then we start to hone in on really what it is about those stories that they relate to and that they find to be so endearing. So for a lot of people who come in and say, oh, I love sci-fi, give me something that's like Star Wars, but maybe more mature, definitely more mature, or has a family bent to it, or just a little bit of a different dimension. Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples is an evergreen bestseller at not only our store, but I'm sure most comic book stores. For younger readers, that's always a blast. You've got kids who come in and maybe they're big video gamers and they're looking for, the parents maybe are looking for a book to get them really excited about reading. And so there are books based on all kinds of licensed property like Sonic the Hedgehog or Minecraft or, really you name it, that we can put in the hands of those kids. But it's kind of the next steps that are so much fun. I'm like, oh, well, you really enjoy a certain type of video game, maybe that's a process game where, like you put together a clan and a group and those little wheels start to turning. Okay, well, it's like kind of traditional RPG role-playing game. What about something that's maybe adjacent to that and ending up getting a book like Mouse Guard in the hands of those kids and just seeing, oh, wow, these little creatures, it's a Lord of the Rings and it's fantasy, but it's beautiful art and amazing storytelling. And then all the way through to people who are coming in, maybe people that have been traditionally overlooked by the comic book market and creators and publishers who are looking for characters or stories that are like them, that come from their communities or their backgrounds or share some of their experiences. And we really work hard to carry a super diverse, wide line of books to really speak to people no matter where they're coming from, what their interests are, what their personalities are like, or where they want life to lead them. Not just where they've been, but where they want to go. The aspirational message of comics has never been stronger. And you can see I'm not talking a whole lot about superheroes. Well, we sell a ton of superhero books. Don't get me wrong. I'm wearing my Spider-Man shirt and my Batman glasses. I'm not really matchy today. But comics as a whole, to include your superheroes, have done nothing but get more inclusive and diverse and inspirational over the last decade. And it's really nice to feel like you're a small part of that, of communicating that message of inclusiveness in a bigger world and how we can all come together and grow and learn from each other. Comics do an amazing job of that. My favorite part about working in comics truly is about the people, getting to meet the artists and the writers who create these amazing works of art and literature, but also the other people who enjoy it, the fellow fans, the people that are maybe coming to it for the first time or the first time in a while. That's all extremely fulfilling to me. But at the end of the day, that bright-eyed spark from a kid, from a young person who has never been into a comic book shop before, who obviously has some pop culture awareness of this wonderful world, who finds out that there is so much more to comics than they ever imagined. And that is really something that, makes my day, makes my week, makes all of the headaches of owning a small business like this just kind of go away, at least for a few minutes. And being able to share that with our community is really, really an unexpected benefit that I'm so happy exists.
So that was Lee from Neighborhood Comics.
Yes, and thank you so much to Lee for taking the time to record all of that.
We really appreciated your thought that you put into all your answers.
Yes.
So if you're ever in Savannah and you're really into graphic novels or comics or just really cool people, stop into Neighborhood Comics and support them.
They also have an Instagram and they have TikTok. And I also know that they have a store, and I know that because I am about to buy some more stickers.
Yeah, they ship. So if you want to support them from afar, that is an option.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah. So we thought we would go out each episode with a fun quiz to test how compatible our friendship is.
Yes. And this one is build an extra creepy haunted house, and we'll tell you which ghost is haunting it.
And that's a BuzzFeed quiz.
It's by user Dulise, who is a community contributor.
Yes. So basically we're just going to see if our answers align or if it makes sense for us as humans.
Yes.
And we wanted to stick with spooky ones.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we thought we'd start with this one because we really do want to know who's haunting us.
Yeah. It's a legitimate concern.
I know I've had ghosts.
I certainly have.
So, we're trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
All right, so for the first question, it's pick a house. And our options are a 20th century apartment, a repurposed chapel, a 1700s farmhouse, and an old manor.
1700s farmhouse for sure.
I picked a repurposed chapel.
Okay, and then next is pick an object. I'm picking a tree swing that seems to sway even when the air is still.
I'm picking a dusty watch you found under the bed. Next is pick a noise that goes bump in the night. Ooh, I am picking clinking of glass and muted mutters and shuffles.
I'm doing giggling and creaking of wood.
You would pick giggling.
I like a good giggling ghost. And then pick a spot in the house that always feels cold. I did the lake near your house.
I did the attic. Actually, my attic does feel cold, just for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Pick a muted color to paint over the handprints on the wall. I picked a lovely seafoam green.
I did this muted dusty rose. And then pick an ominous staircase. So these ones are photos. So I picked this one that's this stone staircase going through this underbrush up to what looks like a sort of decrepit old manor.
That's the one I would have picked for you. I picked one that's coming up through a tunnel.
I see that for you totally. Yep. I love how every single one we picked a different thing so far.
Yeah. Pick some funeral flowers. I picked the ones that had delphiniums in them because I love a good delphinium.
I can't believe you even know what that is. I did this bundle of wildflowers. It has like red and white and pink and is bundled with some twine.
My delphiniums are purple, for the record.
And then pick a hobby not related to the morbid or the paranormal.
We might have picked the same one here.
Drawing and painting.
Drawing and painting.
The one place where we overlap, as you see.
Pick an omen as an animal. I picked a raven.
I did a black cat. You know, Brenna means little raven. Instead, which like I was tempted to pick the raven because raven is kind of special to me.
You're my little omen.
Yeah, everybody's little omen. And then finally pick a fear. Mm-hmm. I did the fear of water or drowning.
Now, for the record, there are not a lot of fears listed. It's the fear of water or drowning, fear of the dark, fear of intruders, and fear of confined spaces. None of these are like my favorite of the fears, but I picked fear of intruders.
That was one of them.
I am also technically afraid of drowning, but I feel like that is a very normal response to drowning.
I'm just kind of afraid of everything, so I could have picked them all.
It's called anxiety.
Okay, so I got The Farmer's Son is haunting my house. I won't read this whole thing because it's long. But basically, so illness took him when he's young, and he peeks curiously at me and my guests that I have over. He appears in reflective surfaces. We form a strange friendship, and I leave cookies on the table for him to eat at night, and I leave cute drawings of farm animals for him. So apparently my friends don't want to enter my house, but it's fine because we've become besties.
That's incorrect. I would enter your house.
Well, yeah.
To be fair, we don't count.
Yeah. I mean, and also, you're the only person who I care to enter my house. Like, no one else should enter my house. Everyone else stay away.
Yes, we live in the woods for a reason.
Yes.
And it is because we're pro-ghost,
mm-hmm.
and we're pro-Beth and Brenna.
Yeah. So, what ghost is haunting your life?
Oh, the bar owner. Occasionally, I'll come across a stingy bar owner that once ran a pub in the 1910s. It says not to worry, he just causes mischief. He's pretty harmless, but still kind of an ass. Which, you know what? I love that for me.
I wonder if our ghosts would be friends.
I bet my ghost would be weirdly fond of your ghost. He would be like, oh, I have to make sure this little kid doesn't get in any trouble. I'll leave him out some little, like, stickers.
And I bet your ghost would really stress my ghost out.
Yeah, that's on brand.
Yeah, so I think that totally fits us as people.
It really does. I liked this quiz. Highly recommend it. Check it out on BuzzFeed.
Thank you so much for sticking around and listening.
Yes, we are so new to this YouTube thing. Actually, we're pretty new to recording ourselves in general.
Yeah, and being on a camera and having people listen to us.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Hopefully as we go on, we'll get a little bit better with figuring out how to record things.
Yeah.
This one was recorded half on a phone.
All over the place.
On the road.
Yeah. So episode 2 will be coming just like this the first of the next month. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. More friendship and spookiness will be coming your way.
You can find us on Instagram at A Ghost Lives Here.
Yes.
And if we have any changes in the schedule or anything like that, it will be posted there.
For sure. So we hope you enjoyed.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us to the end. So, listeners, we would like to remind you, you don't have to panic at the disco.
You can always panic in a phone booth.
We'll see you later.